Did you know that when you're selling a house in almost any city along the San Francisco Peninsula, that you're required to have the sewer lateral inspected? Now, this is a fairly recent ordinance, so if you're working with a realtor who's from outside the area, they may not be familiar with this, and it might get missed, which is going to cause you some problems in the sale of your property. So what is a sewer lateral? Well, it's also sometimes called a sewer line. That's probably the more common term. And basically what it is, it's a pipe that connects your house and runs all the waste from your house out to the city sewer line. Okay, so pretty simple system. And the cities along the San Francisco Peninsula require this inspection because they don't want sewer water leaking from the sewer line into the bay. So they've imposed these ordinances. So how do you inspect a sewer lateral? Well, first of all, you can't call just any plumber. You've got to call a plumber who does this kind of work. And here's actually a picture that I took this morning. This is at a property that I'm selling. You've got Andrew from Howard Construction. And what he's got here, if you look at this black thing right here, it is basically a long hose, if you want to call it that, a reel with a camera on the end of it. And then right here, the yellow thing you see, that's actually a monitor, and little black hole you see in the center of it is the sewer line that they're filming. So he runs a camera into the line for the entire extent of the line. So he basically puts it into right here. Let's call it the clean out. If your house has a clean out, not everyone does. That's another video, but into the clean out and runs it up to the house. So it runs it up to the house and then back down to the city sewer line. He films the inside of it and tells you whether you passed or not. So what do they look for? Well, here's some things that the city requires that you look for. Okay, so first of all, they're going to check for any kind of debris in the line, anything that would cause the line to back up, to overflow. Grease deposits are something that they find quite commonly in there. Tree roots. Most of the sewer lines that we have in our area, you can tell I'm working with a green screen here because my hand keeps disappearing. But anyways, you have tree roots which get into the line. The trees actually want the water out of the line, so they burrow their way into the line and they cause cracks and it causes some problems. You've also got broken pipe. Maybe somebody has excavated in your yard in the past, causes a break in the pipe. And then over here, the offset in the pipe, maybe you've had some sinking or something in your yard at one time and the two sections of the pipe have come apart. And then also here, if you've got some sinking in your yard, you get what's called a belly or a low spot in the line, which keeps the line, it doesn't allow it to drain properly. So depending upon which city you're in, whether you pass or fail depends upon how the city scores this. As an example, with the city of San Mateo, if we look at each one of these issues here, each one of these is given a certain score. If your score exceeds 13, you failed. If you're under 13, then you pass. So, and actually, for instance, in the city of Burlingame requires that you fill this entire line with water, and it's got to hold water for, I believe, like 30 minutes. Okay, so each city's different. So depending upon the contractor that you hire to do the inspection, they need to know what the ordinance requires so as to tell you whether you pass or fail. So what happens if you pass? Well, if you pass, then great, you go ahead and sell the house. There's no problems whatsoever. If it fails, then that's where the negotiation comes in. Does the seller pay for it or does the buyer pay for it? Well, if the seller pays for it, typically the seller replaces that line prior to the close of escrow. If the buyer says that they will pay for it, then most cities will require that work get done within a few months after the close of escrow. And sometimes what they make you do is they make you hold in escrow the amount of money that it's going to take to replace the line until that's done. They want to make sure that you don't just skip out without replacing the line. So they hold the money in escrow so that the money's there to pay the contractor to get the work done. So that's just one of the tips, one of the things you're required to do here on the San Francisco Peninsula when you're selling a house If you're looking for more tips on what it takes to sell a home in the San Francisco Peninsula, give me a call, Chris Eckert, Keller Williams Realty, or check out my website.